सुपर इट्स 93.5 रेड एफएम पे मैं हूं तुहिन आपके साथ चल रहा है K935. Today is 88th Air Force Day. From 1932 to 2020, a lot has changed. Well, to talk about today's day, I have with me a legend who slayed the skies with the roaring jets at the age of 24. He was in the Indo Pak War 1965, the war hero, war veteran, who flew 22 sorties, or as we say, operational missions in 1965. He is retired Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
Happy Air Force Day to you, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, now we'll go back to 1965. It was long ago, but still a year people are intrigued about. You were asked to raid that time. 22 raids, 22 operational missions. What was going on in your head that time, and what was going on in the cockpit that time, sir?
Well, in 1965, I was with number 1 squadron at Adhampur in Punjab, and
Right.
I was flying an aircraft called the Mr. 4A ground attack fighter. Our job was to support the army in the Lahore and Sialkot sectors. But on the opening day of the conflict, that is on 7th September, when the Punjab squadrons got involved, we were asked to attack the main Pakistan Air Force base at Sargodha. I was a member of a formation of 4 aircraft which went in broad daylight at 10 a.m. without any cover of darkness or fighter escort. We went all the way 100 miles inside, attacked Sargodha, and we were lucky enough to come back after destroying some aeroplanes and ground installations at Sargodha. We were subjected to a lot of anti-aircraft and small arms fire from the ground, and sometimes used to return with holes in the aircraft. Fortunately, I was not hit, though our squadron lost 3 pilots during those 22 days. Regarding the feeling in the cockpit, sure enough, before the mission, when you're ordered to go on a mission, you've got butterflies in the stomach.
Right.
You're very concerned. Once you get into the cockpit, start the engine, there's so much to do. All fear vanishes and you're concentrating on the task. And later on, after the mission, when you come back to the crew room, then again you say, oh God, that was close, or whatever happened, runs through your mind. But it was a great experience, and it really separated the men from the boys.
You were all of 24 that time. The young lad who came after completing his training in the US and straight away was sent to the war.
And the funny thing was that when I was training in the US at Nellis Air Force Base, Las Vegas, we had Pakistani student officers also flying with us in the same formation. And we were great friends. In our bachelor quarters, we used to have biryani parties and all that.
Right.
And exactly a year later, we were shooting at each other. So that is the strange thing about Indo-Pak relations.
Well, no words there, because I've been in Dubai and I've been with Pakistanis as well, and we were great friends.
1990, I was detailed to undergo a year-long course at the Royal College of Defence Studies in London.
Right.
And one of the Pakistani officers with me was Brigadier Parvez Musharraf. I was an Air Commodore at that time. So when Parvez became Chief of Army Staff and took over the reins in Pakistan, we held a reunion in Islamabad. And my wife and I flew to Islamabad from Bangalore. This was in 2005, July. And we spent 1 week in Pakistan as state guests. Even stranger experience was in the run-up to the 71 war. I was in a squadron called the Tactics and Combat Development Establishment at Ambala. And we were given a special task of carrying out single aircraft raids over Pakistani airfields at night. And we were given specific targets. We are supposed to fly at low level on a dark night using only the compass and stopwatch. My target was given to me was Chaklala. When I went to Pakistan as Parvez's guest, we were flown in Pakistan Air Force C-130 aircraft from Chaklala to a place called Chitral. And I was sitting in the cockpit between the 2 pilots in the jump seat, rolling down Chaklala runway, and I said, oh my God, this is the runway I was supposed to bomb in 71. that is the strange thing, yeah.
सर आपके लिए तो महाभारत हो गई थी ये पूरी.
Yeah.
What's the incident you will never forget?
The most memorable experience was I was in charge of the flight test program when the light combat aircraft Tejas first flew.
Yes.
And on the 4th of January 2001, a lot of people were convinced that the aircraft would crash on first flight. But I was the one who had cleared the flight, and therefore I was on tenterhooks till he landed. So that was another unbelievable experience.
So for Tejas, we have got polite applause. How it came into commission and how you were the force behind Tejas.
Uh,
From Tiger Moth to MiGs to Jaguar to Mirages, and let's take a break at Tejas, the Indian-made light combat aircraft. You were the ADA that time. Your force was behind it. It was your baby. How did you produce this baby of yours?
it's not true to say it is my baby entirely. I was only in charge of the flight test program. There were a whole crowd of people, men and women, thousands of them who worked day and night for many years to make that project a success. I was only in charge of the flight test program, and flight test, as you know, is the last stage at which you can stop an accident from happening. We took a lot of precautions like using state-of-the-art telemetry and monitoring the flights very closely, doing a lot of briefings and debriefings and data analysis. And so it was a massive team effort, and I wouldn't like to take any credit for it myself. It was a big team which worked, and I think all of us deserve credit for that.
MiGs, Mirage, Sukhoi coming in, and now Rafale. How would you define Indian Air Force journey?
Well, the first jets came into the Indian Air Force in 1949 with the Vampires. And later on, we got the French Tufanis and Mystiers and Hunters in the 50s. Those were all called the first generation fighters. The next jump we got was when the MiG-21s came in the mid-60s. Now, what happened in the 65 war was that we had absolutely no capability to intercept aircraft at night because none of our fighters carried radars. So the Pakistani bombers came and bombed our airfields, Pathankot, Adhampur, Halwara, Jodhpur, Jamnagar, Ambala, with impunity. They used to come and we could only sit in the trenches and curse them while the anti-aircraft guns took them on. So when the MiG-21s came in the mid-60s with an airborne interception radar, we had the capability to intercept and shoot down aircraft at night for the first time. And in 71, the number of Pakistani bomber raids at night had dropped dramatically. We hardly had any raids at night. The next jump came when the Mirages and the MiG-29s came in the mid-80s. There's something called the fly-by-wire where from the pilot's control column in the cockpit, the electrical signals are sent to a computer which moves the control surfaces. That was absolutely new technology. We had a head-up display in the aircraft. That was a quantum jump in technology. And the Rafale, of course, has taken the whole technology to a new level for two reasons. One, the radars have become a lot more capable.
Right.
And the weapons used, the missiles available today are far more capable than whatever we had in the 80s and 90s. So the Rafale is a 4.5 generation to 5th generation fighter and is extremely capable, and it is going to be a game changer in Indian skies.
So I've got a personal question now.
Yeah.
In case of personal emergency, for example, if there is a bladder knock, what do you do when you're in the middle of the air?
In the earlier generation aircraft, we were not having these long duration sorties.
Right.
Now with air-to-air refueling being available, pilots are staying in a single seat aircraft with a single guy in the cockpit, stays strapped in for as much as 4.5 to 5 hours.
Right.
So then you have a problem with the bladder. For long duration sorties, the pilots they've developed techniques. One is they fly with diapers.
Okay.
Second is they turn up the cockpit heat a little bit so that they sweat. Now, if they sweat, the pressure on the bladder reduces.
Right.
And in an extreme emergency, of course, the diaper is always there. So that is how the Indian pilots are coping with these new capabilities which have been given to the aircraft.
Is it easy for you to drive on roads after flying jets, especially on Bangalore roads?
It's a different world, you know. It used to happen to me in AST all the time. I would be probably flying a MiG at Mach 1.5 or whatever it was and come back. Then I'd sit on my Vespa scooter and ride home. And because in those days, in the 70s and 80s, I couldn't even afford a car. So
Right.
it was a Vespa scooter. And it was quite a change, yes. But in those days, the traffic was not as crazy as it is today.
It would be so difficult for you that after testing Tejas at Mark 2 or Mark 3, you're coming down to Bangalore roads and driving at the speed of 40 kilometer per hour.
40 if you're lucky. Usually it is more like 10 or 15. Yeah.
So on Silk Board Junction, you just want to pull your steering and just fly your car.
Yes.
One last question. It's again a personal question. Have you ever approached any girl saying I'm an Air Force pilot, or they have approached you since you are an Air Force pilot?
No. I got married at the age of 28 and in 1969. So last year we celebrated our golden wedding anniversary, my wife and I. I've had the experience of going and impressing anybody by saying I'm a fighter pilot. In fact, both of us, my wife and I, belong to Bangalore.
Right.
And I proposed to my wife in Koshi's restaurant. So Koshi's has a special place in our hearts.
Wow. Taking you back when you were 28 years old as well.
Yeah.
On the occasion of 88th Air Force Day, what is your message to the nation, sir?
The message to the nation is that the Indian Air Force is absolutely ready for any eventuality. Air Chief Marshal Bhaduria has said that in his Air Force Day broadcast. Our squadrons are all absolutely primed and ready. And should anything occur vis-a-vis the Chinese border in Ladakh, this time the Air Force will go into action as soon as the first shot is fired. So 1962 will not be repeated. And all Indians can sleep safely knowing that their guardians are airborne in the sky.
So nice to talk to you, sir.
Thank you, Tuhin. Thank you.
And sir, Super Hits 93.5 Red FM.
बजाते रहो तुतुर तुतुर तुहिन के साथ.